In this lesson, we're going to talk about the SaaS business model and contrast that to the traditional software, both from a user standpoint as well as from a company standpoint. To answer the question, what is SaaS? First, let's spend 30 seconds on how traditional software works. Traditional software applications run on the user's computers, and sometimes it is referred to as on-premise software. Think of downloading a piece of software and you go through the installation process. Sometimes you got to click the update button in order to get the latest version, and you might pay for the license, but once you do that, you can use it forever. A classic example is Microsoft Office. Back in the day, perhaps you pay for Microsoft Office 2000 and you can use it forever. That pretty much applies to all the applications in your Windows Start menu or your Mac applications folder. In contrast, instead of users installing an application on the device, software as a service or SaaS applications are hosted on cloud servers and users access them over the internet. And when we say the cloud, it really refers to a set of infrastructure that involves servers, network, databases, and storage that together run the application. Cloud servers are located in data centers all over the world, and by using cloud computing, users and companies don't have to physically manage the servers themselves or run software applications on their own machines. From a user standpoint, what are some of the key differences between these two models, you might wonder? So let's dive into some of the very important comparison points. First, from a licensing standpoint, traditional software offers perpetual licenses, meaning once you pay for the license once, that's the end of it. You will never have to pay for it again. Versus a SaaS company offers a subscription, and you typically have to pay on a recurring basis. Second, from a hosting standpoint, meaning the location of where the application is running, traditional software runs on your own computer versus SaaS applications are centrally hosted in the cloud. And relatedly, in terms of where you can access the application, traditional software requires you to access it on your own computer versus SaaS potentially allows you to access it from any device, anywhere. You can be traveling internationally and access an application from your mobile phone. In terms of data, traditional software would store your data on your local hard drive versus SaaS would store the data in the cloud. And there could be implications to security and disaster recovery and so forth. Lastly, in terms of product pricing and payment, for traditional software, you paid upfront for the on-premise license, and you may optionally pay for some maintenance and support, versus SaaS application offers a subscription model, and maintenance and support are usually built in and included. There are huge implications from a software company standpoint. First, from a revenue standpoint, the bulk of the revenue from traditional on-premise software is going to be one time, versus SaaS software company is able to generate revenue that might be smaller every month, but it's going to be recurring and predictable. Second, from a data standpoint, companies didn't used to have a lot of data and visibility when the software was installed on-premise. We don't know how the users are using the software and what features they are using or not. Versus in SaaS, there's a lot more visibility because companies are able to see everything on their platform. So you can explore how your users are adopting and deploying the applications. There's a lot more insights into what feature works versus doesn't work. From a product stickiness standpoint, it's less important for traditional on-premise software because once the customer has bought and paid for the license, that's the end of the transaction you have with the customer. Versus for SaaS applications, product stickiness is important because the moment that the user doesn't like the product, they have the option to potentially cancel and back out and the company will lose that ongoing revenue. From a scale standpoint, it's very important for SaaS applications to be able to scale and accommodate potentially hundreds and thousands of users using the same platform simultaneously. Versus for traditional on-premise software, it's less likely to be a big issue because it runs mostly on the customer's device. Lastly, in today's world, SaaS software companies are valued higher, largely because of the recurring and predictable nature of revenue and cash flow. Speaking of valuation, you may wonder, what are some of the biggest SaaS companies in the world? Here are some of the logos that you may recognize. The majority of the largest SaaS companies focus on business to business or B2B, such as Salesforce, Workday, and Slack. There are also companies that focus both on enterprise customers as well as consumers, such as Zoom or Adobe. And here is the latest market capitalization of some of the largest SaaS companies in 2021, with some companies valued at higher than 50 or 100 or even $200 billion. Hopefully this lesson gave you a sense of what SaaS is. In this next section, we'll start diving into the metrics.